So
How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. How about you?
Good. A long time no see.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and not even in person, right? I don't know when the last time I saw you in person was, but it's probably been, I can't even tell you. Probably when maybe a little bit, maybe after high school. I can't remember. Maybe it was maybe when your dad passed away, I think.
Oh yeah, yep, that
That
was probably it. Yeah, I was trying to
what?
think. I thought it was my brother's wedding, but
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, that was after that, wasn't it? Up in
uh
Wisconsin.
yeah, he actually they got married before he passed, so it probably was at
Yeah.
dad's funeral.
Yeah, I remember they had the 21 gun salute.
Oh yeah, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for doing this. And we don't have to let's shoot for an hour if that's okay or less. But I
Yeah.
think what's cool is I don't know if you had a chance to listen to any of the podcasts, but here's the thing. Most of them have been about somebody that's done something like incredible, like they took a chance, bet on themselves, or somebody else helped them and they did something and achieved some way, right? Something. And
Hmm.
most of it has been like kind of running, but I like mix in business conversations and stuff like that. And what I think would be cool about yours today will be when I read that what you're trying to do, it fits perfectly with like, okay, you're going to try to become an actor or an actress, whatever, right? Something like that. So what's cool is here I am talking to you about it, and it's not even happened yet. But that's what I want to talk about is like, hey, what are you going to try to do? How, networking and, like you had posted on social media. So that's the goal is to have you talk about your journey that's just starting and what you want to end up with. And then we can just rewind to the beginning of, okay, who is Amanda? Where'd you grow up? Your schooling, your training. You have a pretty, I think, from what I've seen, extensive training in different areas, right? Like whether it's welding or like an arborist or whatever. I mean, it seems like you've done a lot of stuff, right?
Yes.
So so let's just start back with where you grew up, the family environment that you grew up in, and I can share some funny stories that I remember from hanging around with your older brother.
Sure. I grew up in Peabody, Massachusetts, and we have to call it Peabody. We can't be calling it Peabody. Um, West Peabody, went to West Memorial School and went to Peabody High School, Veterans Memorial High School. Grew up in the 80s essentially. And life definitely, everybody always says this, but life was certainly better, I'm sure. Uh, and more fun. You could, uh, I guess, uh, fun could be subjective term.
Yeah.
But yeah, just the one boy, one girl, married parents, married to the day they died. Um, it's just standard uh, practice. Dad was worked at General Electric, and mom was a housewife. And then during the 80s, things kind of changed with how life was and how life became, and people got, plants started shutting down. And my dad was an entrepreneur. He owned a bunch of laundromats. And so once General Electric shut down, which was his main job, he decided to go full time into laundry and dry cleaning, which was big back then. And he didn't want to. He could have moved, but I was a teenager, so he didn't want to move us. And that's it. Mom went to work at the dry cleaners, and
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
rest is.
maybe let's pause for a second and talk about the family dynamic, right? So your dad, a big guy, but was also a Marine, and then, got his career started at GE and then did the dry clean and stuff. And then what was it like? So, like, I have that experience too. Like, my dad was a Marine and then my older brother was a Marine. And so, like, I feel like people that didn't grow up with like a military parent, it might have been a different experience. What was it like for you? So youngest child, you know, girl with the older brother. I mean, it probably was a little bit kind of crazy. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was accustomed to getting picked on by the older brother who was gigantic, and dad was, I would say he was fairly militant, yes, and uh, definitely ruled with the iron fist. You know, good guy, bad guy. You know, mom was the good guy, and if you got bad grades, you got clobbered. You know, it's like if you didn't eat your dinner, you got clobbered. You know, just the if you came home late for dinner, you got clobbered. you
Oh
know,
yeah.
but he was a good guy. But yeah, definitely military. And then he didn't have a dad of his own. His dad died when he was real young, so he was kind of learning as he went. So
Yeah. Yeah, there's a bunch of stories where, like you said, the Iron Fist, but once Russ, I could only imagine, like, Russ, the farthest back memory I can have of Russ was like youth football. And I mean, he was a big kid all the time. He played hockey. But I bet there was a point where, your dad was like probably smacking him around too. Now they were like, you
yes,
know, and that was
yeah.
probably in high school. And I just remember so many times where Russ would do something and blame you.
Oh my gosh, you remember that?
Oh my
Yeah.
God, yeah, all the time.
Oh,
Amanda was in the driveway playing with ball or something. Like something would happen to the car. He'd smash the
oh
car.
yeah.
Whatever.
Yes, he admits it now. He was able to drive the, new at the time Nissan Maxima, 1984, and he must have been drunk or something driving, and he tore out the bottom front there below the bumper,
Yeah.
and it's like, how does that even my fault? I don't even have a license, and gosh, one time. Uh, the carpet, I mean they with the one earning household and debt, if they did anything like they got a new carpet or whatever, and the carpet wasn't that old, but it was a big deal to get a new carpet. And we had a pool at the time. We kept the chlorine in the powdered chlorine in the garage. And Russ worked on cars, and he was kind of where his workshop was where the chlorine was kept. And once you know, there's these tracks that ended up showing up bleach in the brand new coral, oh, all the way up from the basement. They went right into Russell's bedroom, and I got blamed for it, and they believed him. I'm like, what the hell? But oh my God, Murda, it was, oh, my dad was so mad, with good reason.
Yeah. Just remember him being very like authoritarian, like you said, and like and he smoked cigars too, right? Didn't he smoke cigars?
He did, yeah.
Yeah.
He chewed Red Man,
Yeah.
so there was the spit cups were everywhere
Yeah.
and like
Uh,
everywhere. And yeah, he smoked cigars. He was a hot ticket.
yeah.
All my friends were scared of him,
Yeah,
for sure.
we were too. And I just remember being like, man, Russ, you are going to get in trouble. And I mean, there was a bunch of times. I mean, he had that Chevelle and he blew the motor in the Chevelle. He had that little Starfire or whatever the heck that car was. And like you said, the
Yeah.
Maxima was like, he would pick us up every Friday night or Saturday night. And we'd be driving around everywhere in that Maxima. But you know what I thought of the other day, man, it was funny is I was like, I don't know how I thought of it. I have two French Bulldogs right now. But remember you guys got a Beagle
Oh, the
for
Beagle, yeah.
what was his name?
Uh, I think it was. Oh gosh, what was
I know
his?
what it was. I
Something
was
with
just
a
asking.
J. It was
Oh,
like Joey or
it was JoJo.
JoJo. Yeah, I mean, I
He
named.
was
Remember?
crazy. That dog was crazy.
Yeah, and they got rid of him to.
Yeah.
He bit my dad.
Yeah.
Uh, they ended up getting rid of him and gave him to like this guy who hunted with beagles, and we dropped him off. He put him in a cage outside with the other barking beagles. And was like, if the guy was just like, if I can't, get them to comply, basically, I'll just kill them. Like that's how it was. That was Middleton. Middleton used to be farmland before all the rich people moved in, and this guy was just some old farming beagle
My God.
hunting. Yeah, where I was like, okay.
The other thing I wanted to ask you about, I remember, and it was probably like I don't remember, I don't know, like I know Russ went to University of Rhode Island. Where did you go to college? So you're at Peabody High, you graduate. What was like, what were you interested in learning and studying, and then what college, or did you go to college? And then kind of, I just remember those like, and then at one point Russ was saying that you did some modeling, blah blah
Yeah.
blah. But let's get to like that, and we'll lead up to like today. What is driving you to try to do this new endeavor?
But I went to University of Maine at Orono.
That's
I
right.
started to develop an interest in business and in plants. So went for agricultural business and resource economics, which if I stayed with it, I probably would be like a mega millionaire right now. But I did not, because the business side, the microeconomics and all those classes were real hard. And I took horticulture as an elective, and I was like, this is awesome. And I switched, I got all sciencey and everything. And I still to this day have a passion for plants and a small gardening business and everything. But yep, that's what I went to school for. And did a little acting while I was there and acting on the side. And I would come down for my parents made me go to college. I didn't want to. I wanted to join the army, and but I did get into a little acting back then, and a little bit of modeling as well. They went to a runway show of, that I was in Boston, even Russell, and that that came to a screeching halt and everything. But yeah, and I graduated, and I went to I was like, all right, let's put this horticulture thing to the side, and I went to New York City to try to do a modeling thing, and
What year was that?
that was 1994, I think, or 93 or something. I graduated from college in 1994
Okay.
with a degree in landscape horticulture.
You missed our age, like Bob Urzick was there. He was gone probably when you were there.
Oh, he gave me a ride home a couple times.
Okay, so then he must have been there. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. He was like a junior or something, and
Okay.
he was always at the time his then girlfriend become his wife, so he was going home all the time to see her.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I'm the little freshman, and he'd give me a ride in his
Do
dumpy
remember. I
vehicle.
remember that. So how did the modeling come about and the
Jeez,
acting?
I I had an obsession with like Cindy Crawford and Christy Turlington, all that. Not I didn't want to sleep with them or anything. I was more like I would rather than like I was just in awe. Like I was like I want to do this, and I just thought they were so beautiful and everything. And I put their pictures up, and I'm not even really sure how that all came about, but in the like I was probably like 1992. I just discovered I took an acting class during the summer break from college, and was like, oh, this is really great. And I'm not even sure where I developed an interest for all that stuff, but and then but my parents were like, you got to finish college, this is no way, and
Yeah.
so I did have to drive. By then I had my own vehicle, and I did have to drive down to Boston a couple times, and then I did the New York thing, and went back then you had to go to the modeling agencies like Elite, and it was big back then. It's probably still something, and you just go around and they look at you like you're a piece of meat, like
Yeah.
yes or no, and your nose is too big and your hips are too big, and you gotta. I mean, I had potential, but it wasn't like yes, we'll take you and then we'll worry about your big hips. It was like lose. It's probably like 150 pounds back then, or less, or 145, and they're like, oh, you gotta lose like 25 pounds and then come back and see us. And so in the meantime, I had taken a trip to Southern California, and I was like, this is way better than New York City.
Yeah.
And I just got mixed in with a really different crowd, but I tried to pursue it. Then I just met with these random people. I'm living hand to mouth and everything. It wasn't very well planned, and so I didn't have any money, and I'm like, I want to be in acting, and I and modeling, and I had back then it was like I started looking into it and getting into it and doing some auditions. I was in background for the Power Rangers episode. I searched high and low for that episode and never found it. And but my roommates were like, "You got to get a job,"
All
like
right.
this is ridiculous. And so uh, I got a call saying, there's this new up and coming thing where it's for video games, and we're using real people's bodies to make to do video game action figures. Can you imagine? This is like just when it's starting, and we really want to use you, but I'm all. This is like my roommate's like, you gotta get a real job, yeah, make some money. So I was like a housekeeper and I got a job. They got me a job as a waitress in one of the clubs they worked at. And yeah, so it kind of like it got put to the side because I needed money and
Yeah.
I like to party and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
yeah, we could segue right into the military
So
too from
yeah,
there.
that's what I was gonna ask you. So like, okay, you go, you graduate, you get your degree, you go to New York to do the thing. And when you lived in New York, where did you live?
I did, and I commuted down there from
Oh, okay.
Boston. Yeah. And
Oh
then
man.
yeah, and that was just kind of like a one hit deal. And then when I got to LA, I got headshots. And like I was saying about Elite, the one of the women at the time that worked there gave me her card, and she was like, lose this weight and get headshots and send them to me and everything, and or modeling portfolio shots. And so I did that, and she actually called me, and she's like, "Where are you now?" And I'm in Los Angeles, and I won't go into what I did to lose the weight, and as you might be able to imagine. And she says, "You have a commercial look, so since you're out there, you're good, but not good enough. So like since you're out there, you
Yeah.
need to try commercial work." And just really just one thing led to another, and again it was like the money situation so hard, and just trying to make it work. And then I got really involved in the party scene, and that kind of was like the kiss of death.
Yeah. I'm saying, so what year do you think that is now where you're like, okay, I got to get a real job, and then you decide to go into the military? What year was that? Like 97 or 8 or something?
Military was 2002 that
Okay.
I ended up going in there. So I kind of struggled along in Los Angeles and did my passion too, which is horticulture. I did work that as well. And then yep, I just after about 7 years or so, I just was like kind of the same thing that just happened with the acting. I was like, man, I always wanted to join the military, and mom and dad wouldn't let me. And I didn't even know actually. I was like, I got to get out of here. Los Angeles is killing me. And this
Yeah.
is like 2001. It was right after 9/11. happened. I left just a few weeks after that. And I was like, I got to do something else. Maybe I'll get my master's in botany. Well, wait, you need money for that. Well, back then you need money. Now it's all about loan forgiveness. But um, I got to Russell's house in Wisconsin, and I'm going to be a firefighter. And I I answered an ad for firefighting, and I mean, I got to their house and I'm like, I had no money. I had a 1970 Ford F100. I don't even know how it made it there. I needed a master cylinder. When I got to his house, I traded my climbing chainsaw for money from my brother to get my new master cylinder and everything. And I answer this ad for firefighting, and it's a Navy recruiter. And that's how I got in the military. And I mean, even that in itself is a story. I got kicked out of the military entrance processing center, the MEPS building in Wisconsin. Yeah, I mean, I had
What do you
no,
mean? How come? Wait, why did you get kicked out?
oh geez, I went and to the recruiter, which was in Madison, and they sent you to Milwaukee. And I was sent overnight there and everything. They drop you off, you stay in a hotel, and I had like $13 to my name. And I go into the processing center and I go through the x-ray, and I put my stuff on the belt, and I had two jackknives. And one was from 1984 that I got from Family Day at Swiss Army knife from General Electric in Lynn, Massachusetts. Family Day. It's
Yeah.
like I got it from my dad, and it was real sentimental. And I hear like bing bing, and I go, "Did you just throw those in the trash?" And they're like, "Yeah, you can't bring that in here." And I was like, "Give them back to me right now, right now." And they're like, "What?" And they're all pulling like this rank, and I'm this like out of control, rebellious. I'm like 29 at the time,
Yeah.
I'm like this punk, and I start wigging out. And private security comes, and they give me the knives, but they escort me out. And I'm like, oh man, like this is just not working out at all. And so I get kicked out of there, and I'm like, what am I gonna do now? It's like not even light out yet. It's probably like 5 in the morning. Milwaukee was horrible back then. It's all nice now, but it was the hood and the ghetto scary. Like I go to a diner, I'm like, well, let me get breakfast. Eggs is like $3. It was such a bad area. I had to pay first before I ate.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then I did have a cell phone because my parents wanted to kind of know where I was because they never knew. And the recruiter calls me, and they're like, what happened? And oh no, not even then. I was like, well, I got to get back to Madison. So I call Russell, and he's like, I got to work. I can't pick you up. He's a couple hours away. So I'm like, I make my way to the bus station. I get a bus ticket for the last of the money I have. And I get a call on my way back from the recruiter. And she's like, what happened? And I said, I tell her what happened. And they're like, all right, we'll try this again. So I get back to Madison, they drive me back there, and they're like, maybe it'll be better if you had a roommate. I don't know why I stayed in the hotel by myself. They might have thought, for some reason they thought it'd be better if I had a roommate. So I get there, enter Kinga Slowinska. Well, her and I probably didn't make the best roommates because she's like, you want to go out drinking? I'm in the mood for a martini. And we were fast friends. And I go, oh, I don't have any money. And she
Yeah.
goes, I'll pay. And oh, geez, we go out to the martini bar, get hammered the night before we're supposed to go. I wake up in the morning. We're like way past the deadline. We're supposed to be there. Now, this is my second time. And Jesus. I mean, we're laughing like hell, we're not nervous, but it's like uh we're just laughing and we're late and everything and they're giving us grief and I at least I made it through the x-ray and up in the elevator and to the processing and so I did get in, and then dad wasn't feeling so well, so from Wisconsin I did like delayed entry so I could go back east, hang out a few months with my folks, and then go in and everything. And that was 2002, yeah, that I went in.
And then how long? So now you're enlisted in the Navy.
Yes.
And the end game was that you were going to do this to use to pay for your master's or for a job, or what was the goal?
I just always wanted to join the military,
Yeah.
and I didn't know why, and I it was life changing. It was awesome and bad and terrible, and but it was awesome. And the end game, I didn't know what the end game was. Sometimes it's just like that.
Yeah.
And I ended up learning, welding. I thought that that sounded interesting, and just a complete different path. And I'm like, I'll do this. And then I did 6 years in there and developed this love for metal trades and everything. And I did get out though, because I wanted to like hang out with my folks because they were getting older and I had been gone a long time and stuff like that. But yeah, that was amazing. And I would tell anybody if they had the chance to join, it's an experience like no other. And like I said, good, bad, and ugly. And back then there wasn't a lot of women.
Yeah.
And
So what about so in that Navy experience, so you go to like a basic training and then you get put out on a ship or like and did you get deployed to like other parts of the world and was it mainly like dry dock welding or underwater welding? Like what kind of tell me more about that experience.
yeah, you go in at the time, Great Lakes for boot camp, freezing cold. It was February. Oh my God. And they don't let you wear warm clothes really. They give this paper thin jacket and the coldest I've ever been in my life, colder than Boston. Oh, and yeah, you're out there in ranks marching along. And obviously, I'm in a mixed division because there wasn't enough women to make up one. So, I mean, you're with these guys, and like, I just hate to tell you, like, you're marching in formation, and then the guy behind you bumps into you, and I hate to tell you what is going on. It's like, is that a wrench in your pocket, or are you just
Yeah.
happy to see me? Like
Yeah.
so that was interesting. And then there was like the recruit commander was having an affair with this like 19, and again, like I'm 29,
Yeah.
these children, and I'm like,
Okay.
and and oh geez, I almost got kicked out of geez, when I got in, I almost got kicked out again. I get to Great Lakes, I forgot about that, and I was laughing. I just thought this was hilarious, and like we get off this bus, you come from the airport, get off this bus, it's the middle of the night, it's all planned, it's how they start brainwashing you and you breaking you down.
Yeah.
And we're all standing, staring at attention and this and that, and and these two guys, they're like, is anybody here a couple? And these two guys raise their hand. Now this is like 2002. And they they meant that they came in on the buddy system, like that was a thing back then. And the guy's like, you came in as a couple, huh? You get, and all this stuff. And he's going off on these kids, and I'm laughing, and apparently they were watching me laugh and I didn't know it. And and then you go in this big room with like desks like you're in high school, and and then they're moving you around to different stations. And one station is you're all this is when women they put all the women together and stuff, and you go in this room and you elbows down, uh, butt out, pants down, your butt out, and you're all around a like a bed, like a hospital bed, 6 or 8 or whatever, and they just jab you in the ass with a penicillin shot, and gosh, that was rough, and I, that was really bad. And then they want you to go pee, and there you go in this all it's all toilets, and you're facing each other. It's just so degrading and but hilarious and everything. So you're trying to not to have shy bladder, and God forbid you'd have to take a number two and everything. And so then we finally get to lay our heads down on these desks, and I hear, "Get up." And I look up, and there's like two of these recruit commanders at like right in front of me, like, "You think this is funny?" and everything. And I'm like, "No, what?" And they're like, "Get up," and everything. Well, so while everybody else gets to snooze, and then actually get to go to beds. They all get picked up and go to beds. They stand me up with my nose against the wall and everything, and they just proceed to like scream and yell at me and everything. And they're like, the one in charge, this woman, she comes up and she's like, "How old are you?" And I'm like, 29. And she's like, "What'd you score on your ASVAB?" And I was like, 89. That's the test you take to get in and everything, and 89 is fairly high. And so and she's like, "What are you laughing at?" And I go, "I don't know. This whole situation is just funny." And they're like, "We can send you home right now. Let us know if some people just can't make it." And I go, "No, I'm trying to like make changes and everything." And she starts like, "You think it's funny? You're on an aircraft carrier, and I saw with my own eyes." Like, apparently, someone was carrying sheet metal across the flight deck, lost control of it, and it went flying and chopped somebody's head off. This is what I don't even believe this could be
Yeah,
true.
right.
I did see somebody like in the safety video, an aircraft guy gets sucked into an intake. I did actually see that thing happen, but whatever. And so from then on, I was like, I could really be rebellious right now and tell these people to go take a hike, or I just know this is going to be life-changing experience for me, and I really got to get it together.
Yeah.
I'm like a rebel without a clue.
Yeah.
I'm just like angry at everybody. I'm going nowhere. Like, and so I just shut my mouth. And from then on, I became like pretty much like I did have to do my fair share of push-ups, but I pretty much got my act together, and I was straight arrow from then on.
So I
But
have a question about the Navy because I know about the Army and I know about the Marines and then being enlisted and all that, but you had a degree at this point, and so
yeah.
when you go into the Navy, it's not like you go in the Naval Academy. I mean, so you're just coming out as like what I don't even know the ranks, but like what did you end up as a rank?
Oh my God. I was too old to do
Oh,
officer candidate school. I
oh
would have had a
really?
waiver. They
Huh.
weren't looking forward to giving me a waiver and everything because I destroyed my credit. That's all stuff they look at. But I went in as an E3, yes, a peon, better than an E1 because I had college. And then I was given a guaranteed what they call C school. I could have been, which I chose welding. It could have been either a welder or a welding inspector, which had a lot of math, and then all the geeks. They told me all the geeks do inspection, so all the cool people do welding. So that's I. In hindsight, I should have done inspecting, but I had to go with the cool people. But anyway, yeah, and then you get a bonus, an enlistment bonus, and yeah, You go for 6. You have to enlist for 6. It's a 4+2, and then you do 2 inactive, so it's actually 8 altogether. But that's how that went down. I was just too old, and
And
I'm
I forget,
glad. I'm
I
glad.
don't
Yeah.
remember, but so I don't remember this, but did you, so when you went to Maine, and I'm going through this right now because I have two girls that are in college. One's going to graduate this semester, one's a freshman. But did you have student loans?
No,
Okay.
no. General Electric stock is
Yeah.
how my education got
Yeah.
paid for, and I
Yeah. Yeah.
heard about it a lot.
Yeah, and I think everything's relative, but I look back at, I went to Framingham State School in Mass, and I swear I think it was like $5,000 for the year, or maybe six,
Oh yeah,
and compared to today where, my two girls, they go to the University of Iowa, and to live there, room and board and a meal plan is just right around 30,000, which is pretty reasonable now. But I
yeah.
have friends back there in Boston. Well, not in Boston, but in Boston that their kids are paying like 90 grand
Oh
a
yeah,
year. I'm like,
yeah.
that's insanity.
It is, and I think out of state tuition was about 12,000
Damn.
for University of Maine, and but I was an RA. I
Okay,
did
so
resident
that helps.
assistant. They
Yep.
didn't want me again. I just didn't fit the profile, and then somebody bagged out at the last minute, and they come begging me, and I did so well. I was a cool RA, but I did so well that they tried to make me do it the next year, and they're like, I says, no, I don't want to do this again. It's like being the police, and they're like, oh, we'll put you in the co-op dorm, like the hippies and the dreadlocks and the patchouli and everything. And I'm like, no, I'm good. And then I also I got approved for a work grant scholarship, and I worked. I had a work grant scholarship, and I worked at a funeral home, and I worked at like a 7-Eleven. It was Christie's Market and
Oh
everything.
yeah, I remember.
And but yeah, I had to I just you couldn't just sit there. I also had to contribute, and then my folks also they took my savings account money. They're like, we needed that for your college. I was like, I was
Yeah.
gonna buy a car with that, like
Right.
so. Yeah, they
Mm.
just like came in like the IRS.
Yeah. Right.
So
Take away all your savings. I remember a funny story, side story. Like I remember, like I used to save a lot of money, and and the joke was when I was in high school that I still had like my like first communion money and my confirmation money. Like I didn't want to spend any money. But all right. So you get out now. You get discharged from the Navy, and so you're putting. And where did you go after that? Did you
I
come back to Peabody? Or did you go back to LA, or did you go to
I
Wisconsin?
well, I wound up getting out of the military in San Diego,
Okay.
and I had bought a house and everything. So I wanted to stay, but I ended up renting my house. That was very sad for me. I left California, but again, I just had this thing. It was always real important to me. And at this time, I'm 35, and it was real important for me to get back to my folks
Yeah.
and everything. So I kind of like packed it up, moved everything there. Didn't have enough money because I'm paying the mortgage. It took forever to rent my place. It was the Great Recession. I got out during the Great Recession, didn't know it happened like months after I got out. I would have stayed in had I known that. And I got back there with no plan, living back with mom and dad. Everybody's like, you're a loser. You're living with your mom and dad. And then, as soon as dad died, it's like, you can't leave your mom, that
Yeah.
went like totally.
Yeah.
And so I just didn't have enough money to get a second place over there. And so it was a little interesting living with them. But then I was like, well, I applied for welding jobs all over. But back then it was like, um, I went to this orbital class, which is computerized welding and everything, which is totally boring and horrible. And I don't want to do that at all. It's a big thing now, but again, I'm always with the back then. Back then,
Yeah.
if I stayed with it, I'd be like a multimillionaire, but
Yeah.
computers are not my thing. And I this guy came to lecture from like a big company and everything, and he said uh, basically alluded to the fact that oh gosh, uh, that they don't hire women and everything like because of liability and everything. And then I applied for a bunch of jobs, like I said, and then like first in the Boston area, then just anywhere in the country. And I had a guy call me, and he said that um, if it was between a white guy who couldn't weld at all, a black guy who could weld okay, and a woman who could weld really well, he would take the white guy. And then after that, he would take the black guy and everything. So, and again, it just, they were too so concerned about like sexual harassment lawsuits because it just like would fall on them. And the likelihood that I would get harassed would be very high, which which was very high, which I didn't get sexually harassed a lot, but I just got like harassed. But when I ended up after finding no jobs, I was going to go back into horticulture and everything, but then I was like, boy, I really like the metal trades a lot. And I wound up at the unemployment office, and he had a helmets to hard hats poster, which is the building trades union. It works in conjunction with the union trades, and it puts veterans in union trades. And at the time, it was only they would take veterans that had experience in the trades and put them in. Now it's veterans preference. It doesn't matter. You could have been like an admin assistant, and you get preference and everything. And that's how I got in. And they said that into the union trades. And they says you'd either be a boilermaker or a pipe fitter according to what you did in the military. And that's how I ended up continuing on. The Boilermakers were hiring and everything, and they had to take me. They didn't want to, like it wasn't a thing. But that in itself was interesting. They I was only the second woman out of the New England local ever to graduate the apprenticeship, and they might be up to three or four now. Like, oh
Hmm.
man.
And what kind of welding were you doing for the union for them? Just
Oh
random stuff where they just say jobs and you'd show up and
yeah, you had asked me about what kind of welding in the
yeah,
Navy.
yeah.
It wasn't underwater. It was
Okay.
they call it 4955 coated welder. And it's just like high pressure welding, stuff like that. And TIG and stick, and just to be able to pass X-ray in the military, everything is like cradle to grave, controlled material, and I mean, I had to read manuals, go my very intense, like hands-on welding school and everything, but uh, basically we did emergency repairs and everything like once aboard ship. I went right to a shore duty command after boot camp or after A school, where they teach you how to be what I was as a hull technician and your backup damage control. So they teach you like blueprint reading and welding, and I did like aluminum, and they had braze welding where you make a corn cob with the oxyacetylene torch. They don't do that anymore. And just stick welding and TIG welding. And then you get out, and when I went to the shore duty, they I didn't even know how to use a grinder. Now it's like now I'm like Edward Scissorhands with that thing, cutting and whatever, and I they send you around, show you how to bend pipe or cut metal on a plasma table with the computer, again with the computer, so that wasn't too big with me. But then they teach you some sheet metal. You kind of go around. And then it was after 9/11, so virtually every ship was out. So they hooked me up with these two guys that I get my learning in with them as best I could. We had to weld. It was like welding anything at that time. And a stanchion broke on a dock or rusted out. So my first hand at galvanized, rusted out welding on a wooden dock. I caught the dock on fire, with the two guys watching me and everything, and they were really unbelievable. But then after a while, you end up going to C school because that was guaranteed to me with my enlistment. And yep, you come out a coated welder for nuclear applications. But yeah, I'm not. I did end up going to nuclear aircraft carrier, but that stuff like uh, unbelievable, the technology, and they can go forever without going into dry dock to do anything to a reactor. So it's like, what's the holdup for us with the small reactor here, And so you never actually weld on a reactor when you're there. Again, once you set sail, and I did Operation Iraqi Freedom and Operation Enduring Freedom, you're out for months, six, I think 7 months, 45 days at sea, it's crazy. And anything, you fix anything that's broken, that's metal, call
Yeah.
the HTs. And any plumbing or whatever. Luckily I was in the weld shop, and but we were also the plumbers and everything. But copper, nickel, TIG welding, and brazen on the CHT. The sewage systems were seawater back then. I heard all about the new carrier they have, but it's freshwater, which I don't know why they would do that. But yeah, whatever, could be anything down in the reactor room. You had to have special clearance for that. Secret. I had secret conditional. Um, and yep, a lot of TIG and a lot of stick. And then uh, so then I get out. I become a boiler maker. Never saw aluminum again. Uh,
Yeah.
never saw copper nickel. It was all like it's all carbon steel and everything, and they do tube welding and plate welding and stuff like that. And again, you have to pass weld tests, and like every job you go on, you have to pass weld tests. And but that boiler making was very interesting. That's like
How
they're
long
hard.
did you do that? So you're still in the union or are you out now?
I'm in the
You just
union.
you
Yeah,
still
yeah. I
yeah.
still do all that stuff, but I'm trying not to. I'm
Okay.
trying to get out and pursue the next thing, which is well, gardening. I got my small business, and I'm trying to get that going, and just acting. Like and we should probably get into how that's
So
that's
like
going
so I saw I think you were so you're back in California?
for the winter. I got houses now on both coasts.
Okay. So you have your parents' house here or in Boston and you got
Yep.
a house out where in LA?
No, it's in Homeland. It's east of LA. It's like
Okay.
90 miles east. It's too rambunctious for me in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And but I I will say I did buy the house. I just want I did not inherit that house.
Yeah.
I bought the house in Peabody.
Yeah.
Um, but so yes, I came out here. I'm now spending winters out here. Uh, last year in April 2024, I ended up out of nowhere just adopting these two dogs out of a kill shelter, and just they have sent me on like Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. And while I'm just dealing with them, like these guys are crazy and they're tearing my house apart. Like I was in California when I got them, and I used to fly here like about 6 times a year and not drive. And I ended up renting a car. I couldn't drive at the time, so my back was killing. I find some random person my friend knows to drive me and these dogs, dirty ass, where they were gonna get killed. So they did. I mean, they were so sick and everything, and gosh, we go back and they're tearing up my house, and I'm like, I can't do anything except these dogs. And while this is all happening, I reevaluate my life and everything, and I'm like, all of a sudden, I realized that after like 30 years or whatever, I I find that this to be a regret. It's like in the back of my head that I never pursued acting. I got kind of off the track, and through my own undoing, really. And then, but like all in all, I wouldn't. I mean, it's been a rocky road, but I wouldn't have done it any other
Yeah.
way, really.
Yeah.
And so I start looking into it and everything, and I find this like backstage. And since COVID, everything is online now. You don't go to open casting calls pretty much, it's few and far between. And not being a computer person, this has been like, oh, I forget the acting. Like, I'm like, what in the world? And I start building a profile, and I send out this some job. These jobs don't pay anything. Western Mass, we're doing a music video, $140. I had to drive 2 hours there, 2 hours back. I think I worked 14 hours. I could barely walk when I got out of there. It was like a mosh pit, was the scene and everything. They worked us like slaves. I'm like, man, this is harder than working in a boiler, like unbelievable. But I was like, I love this. I
Yeah.
mean, I was like, ow, ow, my back hurts. I can't feel my feet, and but it just like, oh yeah, this is it. This is it. And I start building. I get the headshots, and all this stuff. And then I can't remember what happened after that. I really oh yeah. So then I'm like, all right, this is ridiculous. Like I always wanted to have homes on both coasts. My mom died like at the time, it was like 4 years ago. Why am I still here? Like there's nobody to take care of, except now I got these damn dogs, and I'm like, I, I gotta get to Los Angeles. Let me at least do this like winter thing, like I'd always planned. And I get out here, start building the profile, like seeing what I got to do. No idea, nothing. And so it's like January, and the fires are burning out of
Yeah.
control and everything. And I see this job come up, music video with like, a superstar or whatever. And I'm like, oh, I'll just send in. This looks easy. I don't have to have any ability. It's like background in a bar. And I'm like, all right, this sounds good to get my feet wet. And I end up getting this job, and the fires are burning out of control. And it's they put me like right in a supporting role with this guy who's like never heard of him before, but my sister-in-law is like, oh my god, he's like one of the top 10 most famous people in the world, and I'm like dancing with this guy in a music video, this Andrew Scott, and so I was like, wow. And but I was like scared, like shaking in my shoes, like I'm in a role where I have to do something and besides sit at a bar. I picked it because I'm really good at sitting at a bar and drinking beer, and I'm like, this will get, like I said, I'll get my feet wet. I'm nervous, like sweating, nervous. I was like, this can't be real. This has got to be fake, like even beforehand, and I thought, then they're like, you're going to show up at this house in, Wilmington. I'm like, the last time I was in Wilmington, California, this is where the refineries are. It's a shithole, and like, it's scary. You don't go there after dark, but I hadn't been there since the 90s, so I don't know. And I'm like, this has got to be a setup. They're gonna, and really, like, I'm dealing with this woman who's like, you see her like little picture. She's the casting director, can't be 30, totally beautiful. And I'm like, I'm going to get caught in like and the next human trafficking scheme. And I'm like, well, oh, it's like, this can't be real. This can't be real. And so the night before I'm supposed to show up, they're relying on me. They sent me this thing. They've got my picture on the waitress and everything. And like, I I freak out and everything. And she FaceTime. I'm in bed, I'm like, and she FaceTimes me. I don't even know what that is. And all of a sudden, I answer, and we're like face to face. And I'm in bed. I'm in my jammies, and I'm like, who is this? And it's this real pretty girl, and I still am thinking like she's talking me off the ledge here. She's like, she just cast me. Her ass is on the line, and I'm like, I don't know about this Wilmington, and she's like, it's okay, it's legit. I'm telling you, it's all right. And it was like totally legit, like, and I get there and I'm just sweating it up. And just in just a few weeks, like I had killed my back and was almost immobilized. I gained like 1 million pounds in the last like 2 weeks because I had been depressed and everything. So I get there and they're probably looking at me like, man, I only gain weight in my stomach and my hips. And they have all this stuff they're trying to get me to wear. And I don't, I don't look like a normal, like, waitress. I don't fit the normal looking bill at all. Like I'm towering over this guy. I'm just like a big person, I shrunk, so I'm only 5'9" now, but I'm just like, oh man, I end up wearing my own clothes and everything. And I was like, what about my shoes? And they're like, don't worry. And like, I've had so many back problems. I wear 12 and a half women's, 10 and a half men. My feet are huge, and they're like, don't worry about it. Of course, all this stuff they pick, it's full body with my big ass feet. All I can see is my big feet and everything. And I'm wearing like Asics and like sneakers. And I guess that's appropriate for waitress. And gosh, and even then, I'm learning so much about glasses. Glasses are like kryptonite. Nobody wants to hire you if you're wearing glasses. Forget about it. But the contact thing, it just didn't work out. It looked like I got punched in the head, and both eyes, boom, boom, and so they had me send my photo. I sent them the original photo. I had glasses on, but they're like, we want to see this photo, blah, blah, and all with no glasses. I'm like, all right, but they know I wear glasses. And I get there, and the director's all like, uh, "Can you work without your glasses?" And I'm like, "I, not really, I'm like, I can see it's blurry. I could try, but And he's like, oh, all right. He's all mad, and I'm just like, oh man, and shaking, shaking, and he's like, oh, nice to meet you. Though I look forward to your performance, and I'm like, oh my god, my performance! They think I'm a professional actress, like, oh my god, like, and yeah, we did it, and it worked out. And the Andrew Scott guy, he high fives me, and like, it was dancing. I just let loose, and it all worked out. And they were shaking my hand afterwards and everything. Like, they were like, you did great and everything. And I was like, and I mean, no one knew. It was like I had no experience, and but yeah. And so then I had to go get a real job because I needed money, and that paid, like, that was probably like $350 or something, and so I had to put it on hold. working, applying for jobs here and there. I go back to Boston and everything. And was applying for jobs. I got solicited by, I was getting nothing. And then it's like the harder I try now, the more stuff I'm getting into, the less uh, uh, I'm getting feedback. And so in, I guess, August, I got solicited by somebody doing a DeWalt commercial. And I'm like, perfect. That's like what I do, you know? And I was in a YouTube video, YouTube on their DeWalt site or whatever for this grinder and everything. And that actually paid well, you know. And I'm like, all right, maybe I'll got to take acting class. And like, I'm trying to formulate what am
Yeah.
I doing here? What do I want to do? I
Yeah.
took a class for commercials and everything. Head back out here, and I'm in it right now, and I'm learning, and I take this class. They finally have an in-person class. I take it, and they're like, no one uses backstage, and I'm like, that's what I'm on, you know. And they're like, you got to get casting networks and actors access. You got to buy lighting. You got to have this. You got to have that. Yeah, I have to have like almost a professional studio set up in my house, and I barely know how to use a computer. And like, here we go. I'm like, everything. And so they're like, you do that, it's gonna kill you, and this is gonna kill your career. I'm like, I haven't even started yet. So I right now I'm at the point where I did the casting networks and everything, and I bought my lighting. I bought the wrong lights, so I had to buy more lights. Bought the wrong background. Had to, you know, I don't want wrinkles in it. And I finally get one thing for this commercial for the VA, Veterans Affairs and everything, want real veterans, but the dang shoots in Broward County. I'm like, well, I'll just send them my stuff and I'll figure it out, you know, from there. So I'm like, well, this damn background, I can't figure out how to do this. I figured now I got to learn how to edit. I can
Yep.
make a small, you got to have a 5 foot by 6.5 blue background, this blah, blah. And I'm like, well, I can't get it to shoot how they want me to shoot and not show the rest of the background beyond the, you know, so now I know I got to edit it and all this stuff. So I sent them they wanted a thing me to read these lines and give a slate and all this stuff, like your personality slate, who, hi, my name's Amanda Green, yada yada, and everything. And I send it, so I'm like, I got this sheet, this white sheet that's got stains on it. It's like it's the sheet I put over my bed for when my dirty dogs like jump on my bed, you know. So I, you know, take some DeWalt clamps, and I'm like, I still am like, I'm getting the ceiling, I'm getting here. I get on a ladder, I clamp the sheet to the rafters of my garage, you know, the joists, and I'm like, the big king size sheet. I shoot this video, and I'm like, they wanted you to do two separate, like with the personality slate and their line reading, put them together in one file and send it. I'm like, I can't do that. So I did the personality slate, and I'm like, and I'm just going to go right into the lines from here, you know. And I was like, good. You know, I do a million of them, retake, retake, retake. I send it, and as soon as I send it, I realize at that last take, I went off a little bit, and there's like caulking guns, like and like my garage and the side of the back, and I'm like, oh my god, you know, like this is, oh, can't unsubmit, you know, I can't take it back
Oh,
and everything. I'm like, the dirty sheet was bad enough, you know, and so uh I did learn a lot though when I did take that one. I took the Zoom class, and then he's like, I'm finally, since COVID, going to have an in-person class. So I rode into LA, and the energy, like when you're with other people pursuing the same thing, and everybody just looks like your average Joe and everything. one guy, I don't know, 75, retired, he owned a like a curtain business. This guy was just in the Homes Homes.com Super Bowl commercial.
There you
And he's
go.
like a balding 75-year old, heavy set. He's doing all these GLP-1s. He's getting all kinds of stuff, all kinds of auditions and everything. And but it's like the energy, and he goes, I got a Stella self tapes. You got to go there. He's like, it's great, and I'm like, all right, I'll go there to help me with these slates and everything because I'm just losing it here,
Yeah.
And so at this class, the guy running the class is like, coming up by February 11th, $75. I'm gonna turn in your slate and a commercial read to these four agencies. And I'm like, oh boy, like this is tough. Again, technology. I'm gonna go to Stella Self Taste. I'm excited. I'm just gonna get a. I says, but I go, what if they take me, and I go, I'm not independently wealthy. I said, I have to go back to a regular job here, working here and there, and he's like, sometimes you just gotta shoot and then aim, ready, shoot, aim. So I'm like, all right, go down to Stella Self Tapes and drive all that way in. And then I'm like, oh, these are great. And then, but I was to the woman, I was like, uh, can you get these lights from beaming off my glasses and everything? This is like a bone of contention with everybody. Like, even you watch all the things about like how to, by like major directors on how to, or major camera people on how to get the light. The one guy's like, the feeling. Your person you're interviewing walks in and they're wearing glasses. It's like having the plague, wearing glasses.
Mm.
So I try to learn. I'm trying to learn so you can still see the things, but they're off. I'm trying to still light my face, um, and not have shadows. Gosh, and so I say this woman like this. I mean, the guy who was on the Homes.com is like singing your praises. I says, this is my first time doing this. Can you help me? And yeah, and so I says, can you get these lights out of my glasses? And she's like, can't you just take your glasses off? And I'm like, no, like I'm not even comfortable with that, and I start freaking out, and so I don't, and but she makes I take off. He had suggested taking my glasses off and putting them back on, like while I'm doing the slate and everything. So I get these slates done, send them in. I'm like, all right, this agent showcase. Oh, no, these are not good. Like I'm not supposed to wear the same clothes for this thing. And I had asked the woman, I says, do people usually wear the same clothes? Yes. Well, I didn't watch my coach's video he told me to watch. Of course, he told me like three times not to wear the same clothes, but then I listened to the woman at Stella, and then it had like a brand name on the shirt, Then I'm wearing glasses. Then I was supposed to shoot from the waist up, and shoot from the chest up. And he's like, you shot it wrong. And I'm like, so I just listened. I just didn't listen to what he said, and I went in there thinking that they were going to tell me everything I needed to do, and they didn't know. They didn't know what I needed. So back to the drawing board. So I'm like, shoot, all right, now I got to buy these $225 lights. I'm not going back to that place, And I'm like, I buy the lights, I buy the background. Uh, oh, he's like, I says, I can't figure out how to be in the background and still be waist up and everything. And then, I'm sending them this, sending them that. No, that's not good. No, that's not good. You got to do this. You got to have more personality, and you got to. So not only am I trying to act, I'm trying to get the lighting right. I'm trying to,
Yeah.
I, I did do it without my glasses on, like the commercial read. I said, screw it, I'm like, I don't want to be like a liar, like, but So that whole process has been like insane. And I've still been applying, like even the background. Oh, rush calls are like last minute. We need people in the background. We don't give a crap. We need people in the background. All right, they need people really, really bad. Let me send in. Nope, nothing. I'm like, what? I was just like in the background, like I'm
Yeah.
available. I have this big thing is like having your own transportation. They don't want to hire anyone that's going to take an Uber. I'm like, I got that. I got it. It's a
Right.
van. I was like, in the submission notes, I even got a van if you need me to help transport stuff from location to location, like, so it's definitely a process and it is so different from the 90s.
Yeah.
And I'm not gorgeous like I was. It was, like, but then at the same time, it's like, oh, that's good too, because I was like a lamb in a lion's den back then, like it's people drooling over you, wanting to sleep with you or whatever. Now I'm like grandma, like roles like 53. That's grandma material right there, even though I never had kids, I'm suddenly a grandma, and so just, but the whole process in like figuring out, it's like, even if nothing comes of it, just busting myself, breaking myself open, for the world to see, like I don't want to be shy. I don't want to have low self-esteem. I don't want all the times that people said I had big hips or a big nose or I look like a boy or whatever, like I don't want all that stuff. I want to be proud of who I am, like,
Yep.
and, and this whole process has been like it for me, like just being me and being comfortable with who I am and stuff like that. And I will tell you that like any little thing that I have done, everybody has been very embracing. Like
Yeah.
people, just the people who I've met, like, the casting directors or whatever, or like people in my class or that this and that. It's been really, really great. And that like the makeup artists, oh, you have great cheekbones. Like, meanwhile, I'm looking like, oh, I'm getting wrinkles and jowls, or and they're like, your cheekbones are great, like your hair is great, and I'm like, oh, I thought it was thinning out, and this woman's
Yeah.
telling me my hair is great, so it has
Yeah.
been like really uplifting. And one casting director, I asked her for guidance, and she was like, you are great, and you just have to be more comfortable with being you and everything. And so I got another class coming up, when I put that on Facebook, simply because I wanted to be driven out. I don't want to try this in the shadows because it's not going to motivate me to do anything, like, and because I got a lot going on, so it gets us pushed off to the side, if I don't make it a priority, and I know in my heart that this should be a priority for me, and but you get scared, like I'm not making any money. I still feel very drawn to the East Coast. Like I am not ready to pack it up and just move here. Like I'm just not, and I've had and you reached out. I'm grateful to be able to talk to you and everything, and for this opportunity. And I've had, a high school friend of mine. I hadn't seen him in 30 years. He reached out. His whole family's in acting. Him, his wife, his kids. He guided me with all kinds of stuff that I need to do. And his journey with his son, who's been in a million things, and just really like I didn't know, like I'm learning from scratch, like just everything, so
Yeah.
it's been really interesting, and to start it again knowing nothing, and then you're like 53 and I know nothing, and it just like that's good. Actually, that keeps your brain like rolling.
Yeah.
I I don't want to be a couch potato, like honestly. So
No, I think so. I think it's awesome that, you know, you had that hanging over you for so long and you said, now I'm going to come back to doing it. You have an opportunity to do it. And I think it's cool. And that's why I love the taking the chance here. Because like you said, you're 53, you've had all these different experiences and careers and everything. And now here's a new one, right? And you're going to have to learn all this other stuff. And for the, every, as you were talking about the whole lighting and the microphone, all that, I've already done, this is like my fourth setup for the podcast with the light, the camera, the microphones, this thing. I mean, and the sound and all this other stuff you have to learn, like the RSS feed and the how to get it out on all these platforms. And it's just me, like you, it's just
yeah,
me. And, calling people to try to come on, hounding them, I feel like to try to come on, taking an hour and a half for someone's time to come on and share their story and blah blah blah. But for me, it's about that what you said, like putting it out there and then having like, okay, whether you succeed or fail, you're trying, right? Like you're actually doing
yes, yes,
something that
yes.
you want to try to do, right? And if there's a career that if you look at the odds of making it, acting is probably one where you're like, it's one in a million. I mean, how many successful everyday actors are there? And, I'm not talking like big time movies and Oscars and stuff, but like, paying jobs and all that. It's pretty small group of people that do it.
Yes. Yep. And with AI, Wall Street Journal article, acting's dead,
Yeah.
AI's taken over. And I'm like, oh, this is a really interesting, just like when I got out of the military during the Great Recession.
Yeah.
And I just think of it like that. Like I have, Dad told me to be original, he wanted me to be my own person. And I circle back to that, like, I definitely was born different looking, and I got a unique look. And I'm looking at all these. I've overcome odds. I've done stuff like women do not do, and I've been shamed this way and that way, and like Boilermakers. Like when I first started, they put the ladies' room sign over the exit door. Like we don't want it. Was like in your face. We don't want you. Like a thousand things like that have happened, but it's like you make peace with it, you just move on. You're like, I'm making my money, I don't care, like yes, it's like 100 times more of a thing. And with the acting, it's like, oh, I gotta learn all how to do it. And then they're like, oh, you wanna oh, we love unique. No, 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 that's a lie. That's a lie. Like
Well,
they
they
want
obviously don't like glasses.
they don't want glasses. That's overcoming, like,
Yeah.
but I will give it its due and everything. And something is, I can just feel it inside. Something's gonna come with it. Is something amazing is gonna come with it. And it does invite me at the very least to be a better person, like not be angry about something, like not be angry about who's president and who's not, and like
Yeah.
uh, just be angry about they're building houses in my town, and I wanted to stay nature. Like it's teaching me to be like find peace in things and everything, and try not to get fearful that I can't find a job and stuff like. So no matter what, it's worth the process, and like money will be there when I trust that, like yeah, like I bought the $225 lights or whatever, but it's like it is what it is.
I have a question. So today, so I know we don't have to talk about 20 years ago, 30 years ago, what it was like and all that. But today you mentioned technology and it's definitely the thing. And now with TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, right? So have you considered or thought about making your own content?
Yes. but that's a whole thing. That's like a whole different thing. But yeah, you can work from home. I did get solicited by Rise Mushroom Coffee, and that's
Oh yeah.
basically user generated content.
Yep.
They didn't like my content,
Were
but
you
that's
wearing your
all.
glasses?
I was wearing my glasses. Yeah. Yes, I was. And
Oh,
maybe they didn't like the color of my kitchen. I don't know.
yeah.
Anything. But yeah, I've definitely considered at the class that I just took. I says, I got to ask you. And I've had a Facebook for years simply because in like 2008, somebody called my parents and left a message on their answering machine telling me I had to find this thing called Facebook that it was we were having a high school reunion and it was listed on the Facebook. So that's I got on there. But I says, do I have to have this Instagram? I don't even know what this is. And this is just like 3 weeks ago, and or maybe less. And I have no idea what Instagram is, quite honestly. And Facebook's kind of like it's it seems like a little deadish, like,
Yeah.
and it's I just keep it so I can keep connected, with people. That's the most important in jobs and whatever. But yeah, so I don't even know how to use it. So they're like, yeah, they're like, you have to have an Instagram and a TikTok. They said if you're up for a role and this person has an Instagram and a TikTok and you don't, they're going to get the role, because it's like free advertising nowadays. They can like advertise without spending any money by this person using their Instagram account. And so the answer is yes. But it's like really complicated for me. I know it seems ridiculous, but I opened the account. I put the thing on the Facebook saying, can you guys follow me? I've posted some videos. I got my gardening business, which, for flexibility, and my love of plants, that's kind of, I kind of want to take this all going this all together.
Yeah.
So I am creating videos to put on Instagram for my gardening, which I will gladly pay her to edit that, because it's not like I got to get this done in 20 minutes, bing.
Yeah.
But yes, I am learning all that. And yes, I would like to do all that. But again, that's like its whole process in itself. And I do believe, and then you can work from home, which is a little bit kryptonitis for me because I do like to eat while I'm at home, uh, and everything. But yeah, it's something. And now, like, I'm creating this like studio, and everything. And yep, I've definitely considered it, or am considering it.
Take up too much more of your time. I really appreciate you doing this. And I think, like I said, what the cool part about it is that this is the taking the chance part in the beginning, right? Like, so you just started getting into this. And what I want to do is like maybe let's try to come back in like 6 months and see how much progress you made.
I got all circles. Like,
Yeah. Well, I can tell you right now, you might or might not have glasses at that in
yeah.
6 months. Either that or you can they make the lenses that are non-reflective.
Yes, yeah. These are like the dollar store
Yeah.
glasses for the for.
Yeah.
But yes, yeah. That is very challenging. I'm like, that's like a huge thing, I'm like, and then I eliminate the glasses and I still get no jobs. Then we're like, uh-oh,
Yeah,
uh,
maybe. Okay.
really. But yeah, let's revisit, for sure.
Well, thank you so much, Amanda. I mean, the story is crazy. I mean, I know like, you could write a whole book about all your other, the experiences in more detail of what you went through from, graduating high school, graduating college, going in the Navy, becoming a welder, working for the union, starting the landscaping and the horticultural stuff, and now acting. It's pretty cool to see that you're passionate about it, and that I'm hoping that it ends up working out for you.
Oh, thank you very much. Yep, thank you.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. Well, now I'll have all this footage that we can put on Instagram and on
Yeah,
TikTok.
that sounds good.
That's
Yes.
so good practice for you.
Yeah, thank you so much, John.
All right.
It's
It was
great.
great talking to you.
Yes, you too.
Thank you.